A stranger at a gas station demanded I fill up his tank since I drove a fancy car and could afford it. When I refused, he blocked my door, sneering, "You're either paying, or you're not leaving." But as I dialed a number, his confidence shattered, and when a police cruiser pulled up behind him, he turned white as I whispered, "I'd move if I were you." This happened last summer at a 7-Eleven gas station in Tampa, Florida. It was late, past 9 p.m., and I had just gotten off work. I was exhausted, hungry, and just wanted to get home. My gas light had come on during my drive, so I pulled into the first station I saw. I drive a 2021 BMW M5. Not because I'm rich, but because I worked my ass off for it. I don't flaunt it, and I definitely don't throw money around. But I've noticed something over the years: some people see a nice car and immediately assume you're rich and generous. I had just pulled up to the pump, swiped my card, and started filling my tank when I heard someone behind me say, "Hey, man, fill up my tank too." I turned my head, thinking maybe I misheard. There he was, leaning against a beat-up Chevy Tahoe at the pump next to me. The thing was barely holding itself together: scratches, dents, a missing side mirror, and what looked like a plastic bag taped over a broken window. The guy himself? Mid-40s, scruffy beard, greasy wife-beater, sagging cargo shorts, and a cigarette dangling from his lips. He looked like he hadn't showered in days. His entire vibe screamed trouble. I gave a short, awkward laugh, thinking maybe he was joking. But he wasn't. He nodded at my car. "You can afford that thing. You can afford to help out someone who's struggling." I blinked. Yeah, that's not how that works." "Come on, man," he said, stepping closer. "It's just a few bucks. Don't be a selfish prick." At this point, I wasn't even mad, just confused. I've had people ask for spare change, even seen people beg for gas before. But this guy wasn't asking, he was demanding. Like I owed him something. I sighed. "Look, man, I don't know you. I'm not paying for your gas." His whole expression changed. Escalation: "You're either paying, or you're not leaving." The second I said no, his fake friendly act vanished. His eyes darkened, and his jaw tightened. He took a step forward, too close for comfort. Then he did something that immediately pissed me off: he moved in front of my driver's side door and stood there, arms crossed. "Then you're not leaving." I blinked. "What?" He shrugged. "You're either filling up my tank, or you're staying here all night." I let out a small laugh, but I wasn't amused. "Move." "Nope." I stared at him, waiting for him to back down. He didn't. At this point, I started weighing my options. I'm a pretty big guy, not some easy target. If I wanted to, I could probably shove him out of the way. But this guy was clearly unhinged, and I wasn't about to risk a knife or a gun getting pulled over something this stupid. I glanced around. The gas station was mostly empty, except for a clerk behind the counter inside and an older couple on the other side of the lot, filling up their minivan. Nobody was paying attention. I took a deep breath. "All right, hold on." I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. His eyes flicked to it. "What are you doing?" I didn't answer. I just tapped the screen, held it up to my ear, and stared him dead in the eye. His smirk disappeared instantly. "You calling the cops?" His voice was different now, less cocky, more uncertain. I didn't say anything. I just tilted my head, letting him wonder. "Dude," he said, shifting his weight, "you don't gotta do that. I was just messing with you." I kept the phone to my ear, watching him panic. His confidence gone. The second he thought I was calling the cops, I saw the shift in his face. His whole tough guy act crumbled. His smirk gone. His posture not so cocky anymore. "Dude," he said, voice quieter now. "You don't gotta do that. I was just messing with you." I didn't say anything. I just kept the phone to my ear and watched him sweat. He shifted his weight, glanced around. "You serious right now? You really calling the cops over some gas?" I still said nothing. Just stared. That's when he took a step back. Just an inch or two, but it was enough. He wasn't blocking my door anymore. I could have gotten in my car and driven off right then. I should have. But something about him still felt off. So I decided to play it safe. I turned, keeping him in my peripheral vision, and casually finished pumping my gas. I figured if he saw I wasn't scared, he'd take his loss and leave. I was wrong. The second I put the pump back, I heard him mumbling under his breath. "Rich asshole, think you're better than me." I turned my head, just enough to see what he was doing. And that's when I saw him reaching into his car. Not fast, not like he was grabbing a gun or anything. But slow, like he didn't want me to notice. My stomach dropped. What was he reaching for? I felt my body tense up, every nerve in me screaming to get in my car and lock the doors. But before I could move, I saw what he pulled out. A gas can. I froze. He set it on the ground next to his car, then turned to face me with this ugly grin on his face. "Oh, don't worry," he said, real casual. "I don't need your help anymore. I'll get my gas one way or another." I didn't like how he said that. And I really didn't like the way he looked at my car. My brain was already connecting the dots. A guy like this? Entitled. Angry. Humiliated. And now, standing there with a gas can in his hand. My instincts screamed this wasn't over. I didn't even have time to process before he took a step toward my car. A slow, deliberate step. Like he was daring me to stop him. I felt my pulse hammer in my ears. "Don't do something stupid," I said, voice low. His grin widened. "Or what?" He shook the gas can just enough for me to hear the liquid sloshing inside. It was full. And I knew, in that instant, that he was thinking about pouring it on my car. I had seconds to react. So I did the one thing I knew would throw him off. I smiled. And then, in the calmest voice I could manage, I said, "I really hope you do it." He froze. His hand tightened around the gas can handle. "What the hell is that supposed to mean?" I shrugged. "I just hope you do it." His eyes darted around, trying to figure out why I wasn't scared anymore. And that's when it happened. The gas station clerk stormed out the door. "Hey! You!" The guy jerked his head up. The clerk, a stocky, no-nonsense guy in a 7-Eleven vest, was furious. "I just called the cops, dumbass. Put that down before you do something you regret." I watched it all click in the guy's head. He thought I was the one calling the cops. I wasn't. But someone inside had seen everything. And now, there were security cameras recording his every move. His face drained of color. The second the gas station clerk yelled, the guy froze. I saw the exact moment it clicked in his head, he wasn't just dealing with me anymore. Someone inside had been watching. Recording. Calling the cops. His grip on the gas can tightened. His eyes darted between me, my car, and the gas station doors, his brain working overtime. And then, out of nowhere, he smiled. Not a normal smile. Not an "I give up" smile. A smile that made my stomach drop. He lifted the gas can and slowly twisted off the cap. All right, he said, backing toward his truck. "I'm done. I get it. No need to call the cops." He tipped the can slightly, just enough for a small trickle of gas to splash on the pavement between our cars. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. And then, he flicked his cigarette to the ground. Time slowed down. The moment the cigarette hit the pavement, a small flash of orange burst to life. I jumped back. So did the gas station clerk. For half a second, I thought the whole place was about to go up in flames. But the fire didn't spread. Why? Because the dumbass had missed the gas. The cigarette had landed just an inch shy of the small puddle he had spilled. The ember sizzled, then went out. And right there, that's when he knew he screwed up. He looked at the cigarette. Looked at me. Looked at the clerk. Then, like an absolute moron, he tried to play it off. "Chill out," he said, laughing nervously. It was a joke. I heard the clerk scoff. "That's arson, dumbass," he snapped. "Enjoy prison." I didn't even turn my head, but I saw the red and blue lights flashing in my peripheral vision. And that's when it hit me, this guy was out of time. Before I could even process what was happening, the guy bolted. Not toward his car. Not toward the street. He ran straight for the gas station. For a split second, my brain couldn't keep up. Was he about to rob the place? Was he just looking for somewhere to hide? The clerk rushed back inside just as the doors slammed shut behind them both. And that's when I heard it. The loudest, most blood-curdling scream. From inside. The second I heard the scream from inside, my blood ran cold. It wasn't the gas station clerk. It wasn't the guy. It was a woman's voice. High-pitched, raw, full of terror. I took off running toward the doors, but before I could reach them, bam. The sound of something slamming hard against the inside of the glass. I skidded to a stop. My heart was hammering. I peered through the window and saw the guy, Steve, as I later learned his name, grappling with a woman near the register. She was young, early 20s, wearing a cashier's uniform. Her face was twisted in fear as she tried to pull away. Steve had one hand on her wrist and was reaching toward something under his shirt with the other. A weapon. I didn't even have time to think. The gas station clerk was already on it. He lunged forward, grabbing a baseball bat from behind the counter and swinging it straight at Steve's arm. Crack. Steve let out a howl of pain, letting go of the girl, staggering backward. She scrambled away as the clerk raised the bat again. But Steve wasn't done. With his good arm, he ripped something from his waistband. A knife. I could barely hear myself think over the sound of sirens closing in fast. Steve whirled around, knife in hand, scanning the store like a cornered animal. His face was red, his breathing ragged. I could tell he was desperate. Cops were pulling into the lot. He had seconds before they came in. And that's when his eyes landed on me. Through the glass, we locked eyes. For a moment, everything went silent. Then, he started moving toward the doors. Straight. Toward me. Knife raised. I backpedaled fast. The doors burst open, and Steve came charging out, swinging. I barely ducked in time. The knife sliced through the air inches from my face. I stumbled back, trying to put distance between us, but he was relentless. And then, boom. A deafening gunshot. Steve's whole body jerked. His expression flickered with shock. Then he collapsed. I stood there, frozen, heart pounding so hard I thought my ribs might crack. The cop who fired, the same no-nonsense officer from before, was already holstering his weapon as his partner rushed past him, tackling Steve's limp body. Within seconds, Steve was cuffed, bleeding, groaning. Still alive. I exhaled, my breath shaky. The young cashier was standing in the doorway, eyes wide, hands covering her mouth. The gas station clerk let out a long sigh, gripping his bat like he wasn't sure if he needed it again. And me? I just stood there, staring down at the guy who tried to ruin my night, maybe even my life. The whole thing had lasted less than 5 minutes. But it felt like a lifetime. The cops took our statements. The clerk told them about the attempted arson. The young cashier, still shaking, described how Steve had stormed inside and grabbed her. And me? I just told them the truth. How a guy who started off demanding free gas ended up trying to set a gas station on fire, take a hostage, and stab me in a parking lot. Turns out, Steve wasn't just some broke guy looking for a handout. He was on the run. Had been arrested multiple times before. Assault. Theft. Drug possession. And now. He was going away for a long time. After the cops left, I just stood by my car, staring at the gas pump. I thought about how this all started, just some entitled dude thinking I owed him something because of the car I drove. But it was never about the money. It was about power. Control. Intimidation. And I wondered, how many other people had he done this to before me? How many people gave in out of fear? I won't lie, I felt a weird mix of relief and guilt. Relief that he was caught. Guilt that I almost drove away earlier and left that cashier to deal with him alone. I thought about what I could have done differently. But in the end, I realized something. Some people aren't just looking for help. Some people are looking for a victim. And if you don't stand up to them, they'll keep finding new ones. I wasn't his victim that night. And because of that, he wouldn't get the chance to find another. I got in my car, took one last look at the flashing lights in my rearview mirror, and finally drove home.